people trickle in and out, and but
Okay.
more trickling in. But we are thrilled to have you on here, and we're gonna do something really cool. We're gonna have DJ Damaso moderate this.
Okay, great.
DJ, and if everybody doesn't know, DJ Damaso is one of the our young up and coming Asian coaches. Was a head coach at the D3 level, and now he's at Grinnell College. And everybody that follows basketball knows they score, and they score a lot. But DJ joined us this year. The Asian Coaches Association has joined us as our director of operations, and he was excited to jump at the chance to moderate and have this conversation with you, Coach Townsend. So, DJ, I'll let you take it away. But thank you again, Coach, and thank you.
Appreciate you, Mike.
And
if you guys, man, ever need anything on my end, man, let me know, okay?
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay.
DJ.
Thanks, Mike. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. As Mike said, my name is DJ Damaso at Grinnell College in Iowa, going on my 3rd year now. Still can't believe I live in Iowa sometimes, but it's been really great. Been a part of Asian Coaches Association now for 4 years. And then when Mike and Steve asked about jumping on in a leadership type role this summer, I was super pumped and excited, and have been working with these guys closely for 3 or 4 months now as director of operations. And it's been just great getting to know them. And as Mike said, I have the great honor of introducing our speakers today, starting obviously with Coach Townsend. But just before that, just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight. You know, over the last 4 years, I've been on, I think, every single one of these, and they've been just extremely beneficial for me and my growth as a coach. So hope you can pick up as many nuggets as I have over the years. But enough about me. I can't wait to introduce my Filipino brother here, Coach Townsend. Coach, I hope I got the math right here. I think you're going on year 20 at KU. Is that correct?
Yes, it's year 20. I've been here a long time.
Year 20 at KU, and I understand you're the longest tenured assistant coach in KU men's basketball history, which is great. And I'm going to read some pretty mind-boggling numbers here from Coach and his time at KU. So they've won 2 national championships, reached the title game 3 times, been to 4 Final Fours, 8 Elite Eights, and 10 Sweet 16s. As everyone here probably knows, from 2005 to 2018, they've won a record 14 consecutive Big 12 titles, which is just absurd to think about. Also, while at Kansas, Coach Townsend's coached 12 lottery picks, 27 NBA draftees, and 29 all Big 12 Jayhawks. Prior to KU, Coach was at Miami, USC, Michigan, Eastern Kentucky, and Cal. But I think more important than all the accolades and numbers, Coach is just a great family man and overall great guy. As you noted, Coach, I came down to Kansas. You were super welcoming. You really made it happen, and it was just really humbling, you know, to get a call from you to be invited down there. So I really appreciate that. Last thing I will say, if anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I can interject at an appropriate time to ask Coach, and we'll also have some time here at the end. So without further ado, Coach Townsend.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, DJ. I paid you a lot of money to give that introduction for me, so I appreciate it. But anyway, I've been blessed and lucky to work for a Hall of Fame coach like Bill Self. He really kind of makes my job easy because he kind of lets us work. I was just telling Steve before we got on, the thing that's different about Kansas is, and instead of recruiting, like, let's just say we got to sign 6 guys, we might have 13 or 14 guys on our list that we could kind of get to pick from. Whereas, say I was at Eastern Kentucky, to get 5 guys, I probably had to recruit 50. So it's a lot different, even at a school like Miami, which was more of a football school, as was Michigan. As a matter of fact, USC was a pretty good football school too when I was there. You probably got to recruit about, twice as many kids as you have to here, because a lot of the top players want to come to Kansas. But the hard part of it is you still got to beat out Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina for those kids, along with, the Connecticut's and the Michigans of the world. So it's not easy, but it's a lot easier. But I've been at schools like Eastern Kentucky, where I know what everybody goes through and how hard it is. I just wished everybody was as blessed as me to work at a place like Kansas, where, like you said, we've been to the NCAA tournament 32 straight times, and of the 19 years I was here, we won the league 17 times, and so it's nice to be, up at the top, but you get hunted and you got to work hard and to stay on top. It's sometimes it's a lot harder than trying to move up, but we got a great coach, got a great staff, very experienced. Norm Roberts and Jeremy Case is the youngest of us, but we got Joe Dooley back on staff, and Fred Kortelbaum, who was an assistant at North Carolina. And I mean, these guys are great coaches. We just brought Doc Sadler back, and then we got some young guys that played for us. Like I said, Jeremy Case, who you met, DJ, and Brennan Burchard and Brady Morningstar. So we got a great mix, great staff. It's just, it's nice to be a part of it. And it's nice to be at a place where they care so much about basketball. And that, it's kind of the only game in town here. There's no NBA team in Kansas City. So we kind of don't really share the limelight with anybody. But, the one thing I will say, it's really humbling to be at such a good school, but the expectations are high. The stress level could get high. And the most important thing that I want to make sure you guys hear this, because I almost lost myself in this when I was younger. Man, don't let it take away from your family. You heard Mike talking earlier and DJ. It's my family is everything to me, and I'm going to be 66 this year, so I probably don't have a lot of years left to coach. But I've moved my family around the country, as he told you, with the places I've been, and they've been by my side and supported me everywhere I go, even when they didn't want to move to where I was going. So it was nice to kind of get planted here and stay here for 20 years. That doesn't happen much in our profession. And the best thing about it is being able to now myself mentor to younger guys. And like I said earlier tonight, I actually need to do a better job than that. And before we get off here, I want to make sure I leave my phone number and email. And I want everybody to feel that I'm accessible and they could reach out to me anytime if they need me to write a letter, make a phone call for them. Not that it means anything, but just to be able to help lift everybody else up. I wish everybody got a chance to experience coaching at a Final Four and more. If you could ever feel the euphoria of all the hard work of winning a Final Four, it's unbelievable. Not only for your team and the staff and everybody involved, your athletic directors and office staff, but for the whole community when you get back here and they're waiting for you at the airport, and then there's 50,000 people waiting at the football stadium for you to drive back, and then have a parade on that Sunday of over 100,000 people, in a small town like Lawrence, Kansas. It's a big deal, and it means a lot to the people. And I just wish that everybody works as hard as I do, because I know everybody does, that you'd get a chance to experience something like that, because everybody deserves it. Everybody deserves to have an opportunity like that. And I don't know any more than anybody else. I've learned a lot along the way. Started out as a high school coach, and got to call my own shots, which I learned a lot doing. But then when I got a chance to get into college, it was really my dream and what I wanted to do. And, I've had a chance to be a head coach at some places. I've interviewed at a lot of places, but sometimes some of those jobs as head coaches weren't better than being an assistant where I'm at. And I've never had a real big ego. My brother, Raymond Townsend, played at UCLA for John Wooden, was a first round draft pick in the NBA, played for the Warriors. Just was a great player, and he's a great coach also. But our parents always taught us, my mom was the one that was Filipino from the Batangas, and her mom was from over there. And she always taught us that family and love and helping others was way more important than any winning, any trophies, anything like that. So I think that was instilled to us when we were young through her. And so I just want to say to everybody, if I could ever help you out in any way, I don't ever want you to feel like I'm too busy to pick up a phone or write a letter for you or answer an email, whatever you need. Hey, coach, I saw you guys run this play against the zone. Can you send it to me? I'd be more than happy to send it to you, probably with the clip of the play and what we're looking for in it. So I just basically got on here. I love the Asian Coaches Association. I know I haven't done as much with it as I should have, like I said, but I got a lot of friends that are in it, and I love what you guys are doing and trying to help the younger coaches come up. And I want to be a bigger part of it if I can. So, with that being said, man, I'm not really one of those guys that likes to talk a lot about myself, but I'll answer any questions anybody has, or if you want to know anything else about me. I played at Western Kentucky, and my college coach, Gene Cady, just got put in the Hall of Fame 2 Saturdays ago. So I was happy for that, because I learned a lot from him. And he was the one that really encouraged me to be a coach, that told me that I would be a really, really good coach one day, because my people skills and my knowledge of the game. So he kind of directed me there. So I was really happy that he got into the Hall of Fame this last time. But anything else you want me to hit on, DJ? Or
I think it'd be great. I'm sure a number of people have questions and stuff. If you don't mind spending 5
no,
minutes
I'd love
for
to.
Q&A.
Love to.
I have one to start actually. I feel like as coaches in here, it's obviously very difficult to reach a conference championship, or go to the NCAA tournament, or advance to the second round. And the getting there is one thing, but I think sustaining excellence is just a whole nother beast. And what you all been able to do over the last 20 some years is just unbelievable. And I know this is a loaded question, but what would you say, outside of recruiting players, anything like that, like 2 or 3 things that have been the biggest keys to the sustained excellence at KU?
Yeah. Well, thanks, DJ. And you're exactly right. Recruiting is the biggest. We've had really good players, and we've been fortunate enough to get some of the top players in the country to come here. But I would say the key is, sometimes we've had way more talented teams, but they weren't as connected. We do this thing as far as our culture. And Fred Kortelbaum is in charge of it, and he does a phenomenal job on. He has culture captains where it's got to the point, DJ. This might be hard for you to believe. These kids come in, the new kids, and we don't, as coaches, have to tell them a lot. And you kind of saw it at our practice. The older guys kind of run it, and they kind of show them, hey, no, this is how we do things here. So we've always had, it hasn't been Kentucky where we always get, 8 freshmen, one and done kids and try to win. We've had a good blend of older guys that could teach these young superstar kids, this is how we do things. And I would say that's the biggest key is, you have a team, and our phrase for it is, that the pieces fit, where the guys all get along, where you got a guy, who the leading scorer is, who the best rebounder is, who your shooters are. Everybody knows their role. And then coach really emphasizes that everybody guards, and defense has been our staple since he's been here and since I've been here. And so I think those are the biggest keys. Like you said, getting the players first, but then making sure the pieces fit, because just having the best players isn't always the best team. Right. It's the guys that blend together and the pieces fit and they all like each other on and off the court. And we do that with culture stuff that we do all the time. We do it daily. As a matter of fact, Coach Q puts out motivational stuff to them. He does stuff with the team. We bring in people to speak to them, stuff like that. And it's been really, really good. I think that's been a big key to our success.
Thanks, Coach. We have one question in the chat here from Coach Daniel. He says, what kind of role do you play as an assistant coach to the top head coach in the country?
You know what? My role is mainly recruiting. We got to go out and get the players. Because I've been here the longest with Coach, like I said, this is going to be 20 years. He's been here 21. He leaves a lot of responsibility up to me when he's gone, as far as, but I've been with him so long. I know exactly what we're going to do in practice every day, the drills and what he emphasized in them. So my thing mostly, as I've gotten older though, is to help, like Jeremy Case. He played for us on the 2008 national team, but he's just kind of got into coaching. So I've taken him under my wing, introduced him to a lot of the people I know out there, because that's what recruiting is, getting to know people and having people that'll call you and tell you when they see good players. So my thing is to mentor the younger guys that are in here on our staff, the day-to-day interaction with the players, and then, obviously recruiting. And then when the games start, we all have our share of scouts that we do. And that's a pretty big deal to us. We take it pretty serious, and want to make sure we win the games that we scout and that the guys are well prepared for it.
Steve, I think you can.
Yeah. Hey, Coach. You've been around. I know earlier DJ mentioned all the schools you've been a part of. Obviously, at those schools, you don't have you have really good players. Let's just say that. And then I remember you mentioned the 2008 team at Kansas. You guys were really stacked, where I think your high score was about 12, 13 points a game only, and everyone was averaging close to double figures. But your experiences with guys like Jason Kidd, Jamal Crawford, and all that too, what are some things that makes a team, especially like a team like Kansas, like the 2008 team, or even when you're coaching Jason Kidd at California and Michigan, like what made the team a team when you've got some stud players? Maybe one or two nuggets that you can share with us.
Well, I think Jason was one of the smartest players I ever coached. Jason would come in, and that was my first college job ever coming. I was a high school head coach, but the reason I got the job, I coached in the San Francisco Pro-Am that Bill Duffy had, and Jason was on my team even though he's in high school, and I had Gary Payton and Brian Shaw, Brent Berry. I had really, really good players. It was, I got to know him there. But when I would be in watching tape, he'd come in there and watch the tape with me just for a little while. And he knew exactly what the other team was going to do. So he was kind of a coach on the floor. Probably the most talented kid I ever coached. Joel Embiid was great, but I thought Jamal Crawford was as good a scorer and basketball player as I'd ever seen. He could go get, this guy got 50 4 different times in the NBA. I mean, he could really score the ball, and he had a high basketball IQ. But those guys were great. But you brought up the 2018, and you were exactly right. It was the first time ever in a Final Four that all 1 seeds made it. Memphis was undefeated. North Carolina, they had lost like 2 games, and UCLA had lost 2 games. We were the 4th number 1 seed. We were the lowest of the 1 seeds. So we had to play Carolina in the first game, and we ended up beating them, and then had to play Memphis in the championship with Derrick Rose and all them, and end up winning. But like you said, Steve, every one of those guys, every one of our starters averaged between 9.8 and 13. And nobody cared who scored. Nobody cared who got the credit. Any night, any of those guys, Mario Chalmers, Darrell Arthur, any of those guys could have got 20 points. But they didn't care. They guarded. They shared the ball. We were so good defensively. We were up. I want to say it was 34-8 on North Carolina to start the game. And those guys just shared the ball, and they loved playing, and they didn't think anybody could score on them when they really wanted to guard. So that team was special. And, but we had some older guys, a lot of older guys that year. And so I think experience plays a big role. That's why seeing what Kentucky does, that and Duke is starting to do it now with a lot of one and dones. That's hard to do, to bring in a whole new group of guys and get them to play together and cohesive. Our strategy has always been have 3 or 4 older guys, and then your best players be these young studs like Andrew Wiggins and Josh Jackson, guys like that come in, and they're great players, but they don't have to carry the load. You got guys like Frank Mason and Devontae Graham that played here 4 years that are first-team All-Americans, so they know what to do. And that's a situation we're kind of in this year too, with some older guys, and then added some guys. The portal, obviously, like everybody knows, has changed recruiting. So, but that's a great question, and I would say our biggest thing is, that the guys like each other off the floor, and that what makes them a great team is if everybody knows who the best player is, and they know your best player works harder than everybody else. I think that's why Miami was good. I think everybody took Jimmy Butler's lead and go, oh God, if the best player is going to do this, that's how we get good. I was fortunate to go watch the Nuggets play in the championship game because Christian Brown played on it, and that, their stud, everybody knows he's the best player, and everybody fed off him, and everybody played their roles. And if everybody knows what they're supposed to do and they play their roles, we always say the pie is big enough for everybody, that everybody's going to get the credit.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Probably have time for 1 or 2 more questions. We have one more, I think, in the chat here from Chad. It says, Coach, for you and Coach Self, what keeps you up at night in the current college basketball landscape?
You know what? I'm always going to tell you guys the truth. You know what? I'm nervous about kids and them being able to go out and how much they have access to now. And the reason I'm saying that is these kids with NIL, I'm not saying this to brag at all, but all of our starters last year made anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million. So now they got this money in their pocket, and they're still college kids. I don't know what I would have did with that much money in my pocket back in the day when I played college. So I still worry about kids at night, but that's probably because I'm older, because, they always tease me, Coach, don't worry, we're going to be fine. But I worry about that. I worry about the state of our game when it comes to, other guys trying to recruit guys that we have now on our team because they're not playing. So by halfway through the year, Our guys that are maybe only playing 15 minutes or less, I guarantee you there's 20 other schools that have already talked to, maybe not the kid because it's illegal, but somebody in their camp that's, trying to get them to make it feel like they're unhappy here, and that, the grass is greener somewhere else, and they'll play more and get more shots and get more points somewhere else. I worry about that kind of stuff today. And like I said, keeps me up at night. But I think every coach is up at night. We've all probably got those 2 a.m. phone calls where you're, not sure what's going on because it's usually never good at 2 a.m.
Thanks, Coach. Last question, maybe here from Coach Adams. He says, as high school coaches, we all have kids that want to play at the next level. What are a few skills you consider to be essential to being able to do so?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. And I was a high school coach, and I used to think, what could I tell my kids? I'm going to tell you what I honestly really look for when I go recruit. So it makes it easier for me to tell high school kids this, because they're all hung up, and I wouldn't say the kids as much as the parents on, how many points I score. That's what coaches are looking for and doing. I like to come watch kids when they don't play good. I hate to say it, but I learn way more about a kid when he doesn't play well, because I want to see if his body language changes. I want to see if when I walk in the gym in the second half, can I tell if he's playing good or bad by his body language? Because you're not going to play great all the time. But can you still do things to help your team win when you didn't play your best? And then I'd like to see a kid play at his best so I know his ceiling. Okay, well, he could do that, but I can't just see a kid once. But nothing makes me more mad if a kid gets discouraged if he's not playing well and doesn't find another way to help his team win. There's a whole lot of ways to help your team win without scoring. Defensively, rebounding. Hey, if you got in foul trouble, are you just sitting over there on the bench sulking, or are you helping are you a good teammate? That's really, really important to us, because you may come here and not play right away in college. So how are you going to react? How are you going to be on the bench? That's something that I really, really look for in kids. So when people say, hey, character counts and what's really important to you, is winning for the team really more important to you than your personal accolades and stats? That's a big deal to us. That kids they don't think that that's a big deal. They just think you could, well, if I average 20 points a game or get this many rebounds, I can. But we look at the whole package, and that other stuff is just as important to us as that.
Thank you so much, KT.
No problem, man.
It's been great. Thanks for taking time, and it's been great learning about the sustained excellence and just getting to know about your journey more.
Yeah. Hey, DJ, do you mind if I leave my phone number and email?
Sure.
Is there a way to do it? I don't know how to do it. I'm sick. I told you I'll be 66. I'm not that tech savvy.
If you want to read it off, I can put it in the chat here for everyone.
That'd be great. So my phone number is 785-331-9556.
Thank you.
And my email is ktownsend, TOWNSEND @ku.edu.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, man.
All right. Thank you again, Coach. Our next speaker, we have a Washington State legend. I didn't know Coach prior to a few days ago. I got to call him and get to know him, and I was just super impressed, not only by him but also his topic that he's going to discuss here. So we're super excited about that. Coach Taylor has over 20 years of coaching experience, both boys and girls at the high school level. He's in year 18 as a head coach, in his 15th at the current school that he's at, which is called Kings High School. Recently earned his 300th career victory, has won state championships, district championships, and league championships. And since 2012, he has been the Washington State Girls Basketball Association president. Coach has also led workshops on cultural engaging coaching, team leadership, college recruiting, team building, and sport specific sessions. And I know Coach is going to do a lot about culture and team building. And I'm super excited to learn some of these exercises to apply here at Grinnell. And I'm sure there's going to be great nuggets. So, Coach, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I know that I'm no legend. I mean, we just heard from Coach, he's the legend, right? I'm still chasing the dream and everything. But I'm excited. How I got connected with your association, with the Asian Coach Association, is through Steve. We met at the Final Four. I want to say 2018. It was the one where what's her name? Mighty Mouse hit the game winner to beat UConn to break the streak. It was that Final Four, and I remember meeting him there. And from there, we sparked a friendship and stayed in contact. And he connected me to the association. And I think there was a meeting there too. I think I went to the association meeting there as well. I met some folks, and so since then I've been off and on some of the calls and everything. And as a high school coach, it's always encouraging to learn and grow from other coaches that love the game, but more specifically, those that are of Asian descent. So my personal background, I've been called Mexican, I've been called Filipino, I've been called Hawaiian, Samoan. I'm super racially ambiguous, but I'm actually Blasian. I'm Black and Korean. And so, and there's, you can find more of my mixture over on the West Coast a little bit more, but it's not as common. I mean, you know, people that you may know, Heinz Ward, Kyler Murray, they're Black and Korean as well. So I'm a part of Asian American associations over on the West Coast, African American, you know, Black culture coalitions and everything like that. And so I'm very proud of both of my heritages. And I tell my students, I'm not half of any of them, I'm all of both, right? And so, and I am proud of my heritage. So do I have sharing privileges? Because I do have a PowerPoint. I'll have to just tell you ahead of time, my last computer died. So a lot of my resources and PowerPoints and everything went along with that. So I produced another PowerPoint as quick as I possibly can. And so I pieced together a lot of the things that I could remember. There are some things that I'll have to, you know, go back through my notes and everything to check in, but I think I got a quick gist of what I wanted to talk about tonight and bless you guys with. A lot of the team building material that I know of and that I've researched have come from college coaches. I've had college coaches call me and contact me and bring me in to lead some activities and such at their retreats or at practices and such. And so what I'm going to share with you is things that I've either used with college teams or my team or both and such. And so I'm excited to share that with you all. Okay, hopefully this works. Can you guys see my screen? No.
Not yet. You should have the capabilities,
Okay, let's see.
the permissions.
Let me go back to the Zoom. Let's see. It's telling me to open in my system preferences. Is that normal?
When you hit the share screen button, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Garrett, do you know what Coach should do here?
I think he has to adjust his system preferences on his computer.
Excuse me, could you repeat that?
Go to the system preferences icon on your computer,
Yeah.
and then I think it'll ask to allow Zoom to log into your what's on your screen.
Okay. Okay. Let me try this again. Can you see now?
We're good.
Okay. All right. So I probably have way too much information. I always like to be over prepared than under prepared. And just tell me, I'm not going to be offended if there's any hard stop. Give me a countdown or anything like that. But I've been at my school that I'm at currently right now. I'll be going into my 15th year and I love it. I have mad support. Superintendent, AD, principal, they've all been basketball coaches before. So I'm blessed to be in a great situation. We are a small private school in Seattle. And our recent claim to fame is we had Corey Kispert on our boys side. I coached the girls at our school, but he made it to the NBA. He's on the Wizards and he played for Gonzaga, but he's from our high school. And so I actually am coaching a point guard right now. For those of you that coach women's basketball that you might be interested in, she's probably the best player that I've ever coached, boy or girl. Like she did not play AAU ball. I mean, she didn't play AAU ball with girls until she became a freshman. She played on boys teams and started, and she's just a phenomenal athlete. And she to me could be WNBA material, so she could be the first girl on our side. But anyways, let's get to team building. Let's get right to the stuff. Why team building? I think it's super important. I think a lot of coaches don't spend enough time on it. I also believe that coaches do not strategically do team building. And what I mean by that is a lot of times team building is on the to-do list. It's something to check off. A lot of coaches will do it on their retreats or beginning of the season, and then they never do it ever again. And I think that does the kids a disservice. It becomes token. It becomes something that the kids just say, oh, here we're doing these cheesy things, and then we're done, right? I believe that it should be done throughout the season, intentionally, randomly sometimes, just to build community, but also to kind of touch base and speak to some of the things that your team may be going through at the time. I wanted to share this picture. This is my favorite picture from one of my state championship teams. It's my all-time favorite basketball picture because if you notice, none of the girls are holding a trophy. As a matter of fact, I still haven't touched a trophy. And I told the girls that. I haven't kissed it. I haven't done anything with the trophy because to our girls, the message we want to tell them is not about the trophy and the accolades. This team was probably the most bonded team that I had. And I say that because a lot of them, they aren't super close friends off the court. They just gelled and got, cohesive during the season. And I think it's because of our strategic strategies as a coaching staff to make that happen. And so that's why that picture is one of my favorite. Why team building is important is because it just reinforces your team values and core covenants. I think a lot of coaches will do team building, but they have nothing to do with what you're trying to focus on as a team. There's so many things on the internet. There's so many things on YouTube, things that you can buy, and you just do all these things that bring humor and fun and competitiveness, but you got to really pick the things that you think are going to really bring out some of the values and the core covenants that you and your team want to emulate. It strengthens the culture of your program. I truly believe team building and culture building go hand in hand. Strengthens the relationships and the bonds of the individuals. There's many times where my team will remember team building events than they will remember games or scores or anything like that. They'll remember a lot of the social things that we do rather than the game itself. It creates shared vulnerability, which is huge. It's one of those topics that's talked about a lot in teams and sports and everything like that. There's a lot of adversity that that you can see, and it'll build in the team. Hang on a second. sorry, I had to address something with my daughter real quick. And then shared triumph in these activities as well. It's an opportunity to develop character and leadership, especially those players that you know has the potential to be a better leader, or players that can build greater, build their character a little bit more. These are super opportunities to, build that in teammates that you need it, because it's going to translate onto the court. And then our Generation Z right now that we have, they want team building, they need it, and it helps them to learn these experiences, learn through these experiences, learn about each other, learn about themselves, produce self-awareness. There's so many things that team building can produce when you're doing these activities. And then, like I said, team building is culture building. So there's a difference between team building and team bonding. A lot of coaches are really great at team bonding and team bonding activities, but when it comes to team building, it has to be very, very strategic. It needs to be intentional and structured. Just like you spend a lot of time with practice planning, I personally believe team building, you and your coaching staff have to sit down and map out, like, is this going to be beneficial to our team? What do you think are going to be potential outcomes? What do you think are going to be potential, where's the tension going to be produced? And so many, what are some opportunities of growth that can occur through the things that we do? You need to be proactive. And what I mean by that is a lot of coaches will be reactive, and there's drama or there's conflict that goes on in a team. And then they're like, oh, we need to do some team building. I think team building needs to be done way ahead of time, way before drama occurs, way before there's tension or conflict, so that you can be ready for any adversity that comes. Team building also develops psychological safety. Kids need to feel like when they walk into practice, when they walk in a team, when they walk on a bus, they feel safe, they feel respected, and there's trust that's built between them. And I think team building activities do help produce that on a team or an organization or business. Team building, bonding tends to be events, activities, social gatherings that simply bring the group together, but doesn't necessarily provide growth in relationship. You can bond with anybody, but that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be building a team. Today I started school, I'm a teacher, and we did a lot of activities, and the classmates bonded, but they didn't necessarily build together, build in relationship, which I usually do later down the line. In the next couple of days, I do that. So some warning signs where you need team building. Is there a question there? Someone have a question? No question. You guys can stop me anytime, put it in the chat, pause me, whatever you want. I see that there's something in the chat right now. Yeah, feel free to put questions. Warning signs, and you guys may have seen some of these, divisions or cliques. What's interesting, my team last year, it wasn't meant like that, but it was this weird division that occurred that we didn't create. It just naturally created. So my starters and sixth woman, they were close friends, and they were all my extroverts. From seventh man on down, 7th to 12th, they were all introverts, and they were close. It was the weirdest thing, but they all got along together because we were very intentional on how we did drills, how we did our practice, how we partnered people, and we were very, very strategic in the things that we did so that we could bring that cohesiveness between the groups. When people are partnering up or sitting by the same people all the time, whispering, murmuring, things where it seems like there's a lot of secrets that are coming out. Body language, even body language in practice. People that are not bought in because they don't feel connected to their teammates, their body language can be very, very poor. Loss of trust or even focus. When people are losing focus because there's, they're thinking about the drama, or they're thinking about tension between teammates or them between another teammate, that can be a warning sign as well. Or if the same drama or conflicts keep coming up, that can be a potential issue. And then gossip. Gossip is a big thing. And and we as coaches have to really be the examples of how we don't allow gossip to be a part of our program, and even challenge each other and holding each other accountable and not gossiping with our own players, because by us doing those things, it's giving them permission in a subtle way that if coaches are doing the gossip, then it's okay if we gossip, whether it's about teammates or about even people on campus and so forth. And then if there's any confusion or lack of clarity about roles, the vision, the mission, that can be a warning sign that the culture can be disrupted and the team cohesiveness can be not as gelled or as meshed as you possibly want it to be.
Coach,
Like I said, team bonding is different from team building. Team bonding can be very, very harmful because here's the thing: in team bonding, a lot of times we think it will naturally build a team, but if we aren't intentional, it can cause some big damage, even to the point of drama on the team. And we can be culprits. We can be a part of orchestrating that because we're not very, very intentional about what we're doing around our team. It can strengthen cliques. Like, for example, like I remember in my early years of coaching, the girls would want to do a sleepover and I'll be like, yeah, you guys can do a sleepover. But what the problem with that type of thing is the freshmen will be in one room, the seniors will be in one room, or they make the freshmen sleep on the ground, or they make the freshmen do things. Hazing can occur. Like, we really have to be very intentional about the structure of the things that our girls and our athletes, men, women, are doing when it comes to being around the team. Team bonding can isolate individuals as well. If we're doing events that not every student athlete feels comfortable with, then that can be very, very problematic as well. If they don't feel like they're included, then they can feel isolated, and that can cause a deep division in the team. And then team bonding can also allow for actions that are counter to your culture. Things that, if you think about your own core covenants and the values that you want to adhere to, your team bonding can completely derail from those by the structure or just naturally how the way that team bonding event is. All right, so being practical. Now I've talked about from a philosophical standpoint and why I feel like team bonding is important, but I want to get to like, what does this all mean now? As you can see, this is one of my favorite team bonding pictures. We were at a cabin and this is a dock, freezing water. It's the middle of the season. And we had the girls do a trust walk. They're blindfolded and we did this and they had to do different tasks and everything while they're on there. But this is one of those team building events that really was powerful, especially when it came to the debriefing. As I said, plan it like you would plan any practice plan. And what I mean by planning, like think of different scenarios that will produce some of the issues or the topics that you need to discuss on the team. Create roles. Challenge the least vocal athletes to be the leaders or to be more vocal, or even have the most vocal be the leader of the activity so that you can really debrief and talk about what that looks like on the court. Like a lot of times I'll have our point guards that lead certain things or direct traffic so that we can talk about what does it mean to be the vocal leader on the court. Be strategic about the equipment that you use. Who's going to facilitate it? Which assistant's going to facilitate it? What are the facilitating the discussions that you're going to facilitate in the activities as well? Like I said earlier, it must be done throughout the season. And it also can be during practice. It doesn't always have to be a separate event. Sometimes it's even fun to just do it in the middle of a practice when you just need to bring the focus back to what are we here for? What are our values? What are our mission? What is our mission? Think of some of the elements that can create vulnerability, adversity, triumph, maybe even be a little bit of humor where leadership can take place, and then also a lot of memories can be made. And then how can you produce meaningful, courageous, relevant, respectful conversations that can be emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and relationally impactful to the team? I don't know if you guys have heard of Tuckman's group development model. So I use it to think about how I do team building activities, because a lot of coaches will do team building activities, but don't realize that the team is not at the place where you want it to be to do a certain team building activity. Forming is when you first start the team, you get everybody together, you got your freshmen coming in, you got your transfers coming in, you got the team forming, and people are trying to feel their way out in the team. Storming is where maybe they're starting to see the differences. Maybe there's a little bit of conflict that is arising. You're seeing different opinions, different personalities are coming about. Maybe emotions can be high during this time. Norming is when there's when you start to get to the team goals and you're in that shared vision, shared purpose, everybody's starting to agree upon things. You have a shared goal. The identity of the team is starting to grow. There's a bit of cohesion that's starting to occur as well. Performing is where you're actually like starting to build the trust and the respect and the empathy that you need, not only off the court, but also on the court. Athletes are starting to be self-aware. They're starting to understand who they are, but also manage their personalities and their roles with regards to where they fit on the team. And then they figure out, how can I be independent, but also interdependent when it comes to the team. And then adjourning is the stage where people are so united and so gelled that they kind of feel sorrowful that the team is ending. And you guys have all seen it, you know, the last game, the close of the season, people are balling because they've been so connected throughout the season. And not every team is like that. Not every kid is going to ball and get sad in those situations. But when a team is super cohesive and has built, has been truly strongly built in a great fashion, then the adjourning stage of the team development model is going to be super, super powerful.
Coach,
Yes.
we have a question here from the chat here from
All right.
Daniel. He's curious, do you have a preferred frequency of these ideas?
Great question. So when you say ideas, maybe you're saying the activities. I do believe that these activities should occur during, let me stop my share for a second. They should occur at the beginning of the season when you're forming the team and everything like that. When you feel like the team has gelled a little bit more and they're starting to get cohesive, or maybe even you're seeing warning signs, I would bring them up. Or even topics that arise. I believe courageous and powerful conversations can also build a team. Like, for example, social issues, you know, for example, like things that happen, you know, like I remember specifically when the very traumatic event in Georgia with the Asian American women and everything. We had a time in our season where we just paused and we had like a 20-30 minute conversation with our team and we talked about it. And what does this mean? Because we do have a large international student population where I feel like our kids aren't connecting with them as much as they can. And part of that is because the international students want to keep to themselves a lot of times, but we talk about how do we integrate and how do we come together and embrace our cultures and such. I think it's super, super important to do it throughout, just to bring brevity. I mean, bring just when there's a thick cloud on the team and you just need to like loosen up the team a little bit, you know, and such. I think that's important. And I'm going to talk about specifics that I do in different times during the season that may answer your question as well. Lee Adams says, just want to say I'm glad you're getting this out there. I think for so long on the boys' side, this hasn't been a point of emphasis. Yes. And I completely agree with you that this generation, irrespective of gender, crave this, especially post-COVID. You're so right, Coach. Do you start with specific exercise to begin the season? If so, what is it? I don't do the same thing every season because, as you know, we don't have the same team every season. And so it just all depends. I meet with the coach and coaches and I talk about, okay, what do you think our team needs right now when it comes to team building? I'll also share at the end of my presentation resources that you guys can look at that I use that help me to figure out, okay, this team needs this. There are some repeats that I'll share with you as well that our kids are like, we got to do that one. I love that one, Coach. Like some of them I want to go away from, I want to do something different, but they're like, Coach, please, we got to do that again because it's one of those bonding things that they love. So let me get back to the PowerPoint. So forming, you know, that first stage and such, we have to come up with ground rules, and I have the team establish this. And I think a lot of you already do this, where you talk about, you know, what are our expectations when we have team meetings. As a high school coach, I actually have 2.5 hour practices. And some of you may be like, whoa, that's a long time for a high school team to meet. I have done that from day one, and my parents know that, but we're not on the court for 2.5 hours. As a matter of fact, half an hour to 45 minutes of that practice, we do what's called basketball classroom. It's our leaders, it's called lab leadership after basketball. And so a lot of times we do our team building activities in that, or we teach them leadership. We don't have captains, we have a leadership team. And on that leadership team, we rotate who's the captains for the game. But we do that, and we strategically do a lot of these team building events in those times. And a lot of times we brainstorm our ground rules of how do we do respectful conversations where we can have very strategic community building in those times. Another activity that we do is speed dating, just like you would see in speed dating activities where we have questions. They can be at the beginning, we have that, and they're very surface level questions, but as the season progresses, we do those to where we have more deeper questions, and we just circle the girls through, and they ask questions, and they sit there and they quickly answer questions to one another. One of the more earlier I was talking about fun activities that our girls keep asking for is song guessing. And what we do is there's 5 categories, and it's from what song best represents you as a person, what song represents your game, what song is that on your playlist right now that you keep playing over and over, what song do you work out to all the time, and then what song just is one that you go to that you chill with and everything. And we could change the categories every year, but I give a Google form to all the girls and a link, and then they fill out what their song is. I take that spreadsheet, and through Apple Music, or for some of you, you might use Spotify. When we are at our retreat, we actually go through all the songs, and we have a quiz sheet that the kids guess the song. And it's fun because the girls are like, whose song is that? And they guess, and they have that spreadsheet, and they fill them out, and the girls can win a prize if they get the most songs guessed. And every year I try to go away from that, but our players are like, coach, that's a tradition. We got to keep doing that. And, kids love music. And so that's a very, very powerful team building activity that we do. I've shared that with college coaches, and a lot of college coaches I know, they do it year to year as well. If You Really Knew Me is a really cool one where you can have kids say, they stand in the middle, they say, if you really knew me, then you know that I like to hang out at the beach more than I like to hang out at the lake, or something like that. And then they shuffle, and then somebody else goes in the middle and they say, if you really knew me as well. So that's a really cool one in the forming stage.
Coach, we have a
I'll
quick.
share this with you guys. This is also in the forming stage. I created this fingerprint with our logo, and this is where we started to figure out what our identity would be. And we had activities after we did some of these team building activities to produce and come up with our core values and our identity statement of what we want to be known for and such. And as this activity right here was super powerful because we were able to go visit it over and over. I made these dog tags with this fingerprint on that they had on their bags. And it was a really cool symbol that we can go back to remind ourselves of our core values. In the storming stage, we would do this thing called the spaghetti noodle house. And all of these, I lost the documents that explain them, but I can easily, for any of you that are interested in any of these specific activities, I can type them up and give them to you as well. But the spaghetti noodle house is really cool. It's like the marshmallow tower that you may have heard of before, but basically the girls have to come up with a 3-dimensional house with spaghetti noodles. They're only given gumdrops, spaghetti noodles, to create this house. And I split the team into 2 groups. I have the point guards be the most vocal ones, but I give them different roles. They use blindfolds. I have girls that are blindfolded and can use both of their hands. And usually those are my forwards, my workhorses, my rebounders that may not be very vocal, but have their hands. Then I have people that are blindfolded with right hand, blindfolded with just their left hand, people that can't talk, people that are blindfolded and can't talk and can't use their hands. And we debrief that activity because in those settings, maybe there's a teammate that can't see the vision or where we're trying to go on the team. Or maybe there's a teammate that feel like they don't have a voice on the team, or a teammate that feels like they can't contribute because they sit on the bench or even the end of the bench. And so we have that dialogue and we debrief it with the team to talk about what does that look like and how do we include our teammates. What about the vocal person? You know, you're a strong leader, but how do you use your voice to also encourage and challenge and hold people accountable? Minute to win it games are always fun. And the cool thing about minute to win it games, we don't just do them in our retreats. We actually sprinkle them throughout the season. We'll do them at a hotel, you know, in our coach's room at the hotel. We'll do them at you know, team camps, just fun ways to just have them compete and grow together as teammates. Human tic-tac-toe is a really quick, easy one that takes about 10 minutes to do. We set up 9 chairs on the gym floor, split them up into 2 teams. Without talking, they have to play tic-tac-toe. This team is X's, this team is O's, and then they have to play against each other. Best 2 out of 3. Then I have them do the same thing, but now they can talk. And then this activity is super cool to talk about communication. And what does communication look like on the court? What does communication look like off the court? Especially if you have a team that's not as vocal as you want them to be. Human tic-tac-toe is a really cool activity. Trust walks, I shared with you that picture of the blindfolds and going on the deck. I partner up kids that aren't really close to each other. I partner up kids that need to be more cohesive and such. And we'll take them through the forest. We'll take them on, you know, near the water. We'll take them, you know, around campus. Those are very, very powerful as activities as well. This is one of the activities that I can't remember what coach I got it from, but in the storming phase, we want to talk about anticipating adversity. So we have the kids brainstorm what are some adverse things that can occur, and then we talk about what is going to be our response. How do we respond to this? And we come up with the same thing. So when they occur, everybody knows. Remember what we said when there's a turnover? This is what we're going to do. Remember when we said when parents get in the way? This is what we're going to do. Remember when we said when coach is calling you out or calling you up? This is what we're going to do. And so this is a great tool or activity that we do with our team in the storming stage. Dress up days for the norming. This is when the team is gelled. We feel pretty good about each other. We start to do more fun things with each other. This picture is a picture of all of our girls. They had a dress up like Coach Taylor day. And so as you can see, they're being funny and silly. They got some baggy stuff. I don't know what they're doing because I've stopped wearing baggy stuff. I know I'm a 90s kid, but this is some of the dress that they thought that I dressed up as. But you can do that for a different coach. Maybe there's certain coaches that wear certain styles, you know, on your staff. Or you can have a theme day for practices. And it's always fun because the kids bring a lot of energy, especially if you feel like the energy of practice is kind of waning. And this is an opportunity for you to kind of bring that energy back. I got this activity, and some of you may already do this as well, from John Gordon. He has the Triple H, where it's hero, hardship, and highlight. I actually added a 4th, which is hope. And a lot of times, this can be an activity where we draw and have kids draw this on a poster board, or we just vocalize it, verbalize these things. The hero is a person in their life that's been very impactful. Hardship is something that they're struggling with right now. Highlight can be something that is either, you know, a highlight in their life now or a highlight in their life as a whole. And then hope is something that they're either looking forward to or hope that gets better, or hope that they want to see come about in the future. Hot seat or safe seat. We put a girl in the middle, and then we just have people just ask questions. School appropriate questions, of course, but the girls love this. And a lot of times we don't do every girl all in one sitting. We just pick one for a given practice or a basketball classroom. And sometimes we have coaches. A lot of times we do have coaches, and kids can ask any questions. Anything can go as long as it's appropriate. Big sisters, secret sisters. You can do it in secret. Sometimes usually we don't do it in secret. And so there'll be assigned partners, and we actually rotate them. Some people do it for the whole season, but we rotate them so they have a chance of being able to bless or affirm or write cards or gift different teammates. We've done lip sync battles. We've done them in practice. We've done them on retreats. We've done them at overnighters in hotels, and then service projects. Doing something that's shared work. It's vulnerable, it's tough, it's challenging. It's something that they will remember for a long time. Mission, I know some of you can go on mission trips, work in your community. Those are always super powerful. But the thing is, I think what I challenge coaches to do is once you've done the project, you should have an organized debriefing where you talk about how it related to their team, your team, how it impacted an individual, how did it bring them closer. Those are some of the most powerful moments when it comes to a service project, rather than just doing the community service and then just leaving. This is something that I got from, and I'll share his titles and everything like that. But Jeff Jansen, if you guys don't know him, he's worked with a ton of colleges and high schools and even pro teams. But he produced this championship culture infographic of the 10 things that teammates don't let teammates do in championship cultures. And we revisit this every year to remind our teammates about the culture of accountability. What does that look like on the court and off the court? And then the performing stage. This is where we can talk about social issues. I remember one year there was a Vogue magazine cover where they had LeBron on the cover. He's the first African-American athlete on the cover. And then he was holding Giselle, the Tom Brady's ex, and they were on the cover. And if you rewind back into like, I think the 20s, there was a recruitment for the army, and it was a gorilla that was holding, it was like a King Kong type of thing. And it almost looked exactly like the LeBron cover. It had LeBron's shoes were very similar color tone to the feet of the gorilla. His mouth was open like the gorilla. He was holding a basketball in the same hand that the gorilla was. Giselle was wearing a dress that was similar color to the woman in the picture. So we had a conversation of like, these are things that are occurring, and subconsciously, these are messages that are being spoken about Black men or even white women that we need to have a discussion and talk about. And it was very, very powerful. There's some times where I'll even stop practice or like surprise the girls and they think we're going to practice. They're even suited up, ready for practice. And I'll say, hey, get your sweats on. We're going to go to my classroom and we're going to watch a movie. And sometimes these movies are movies about social issues. We've watched Glory Road. We watch Mighty Max, which is about Immaculata College. I've got popcorn and candy and pizza and everything. And it's a good opportunity for our team to grow together about social issues. In this picture, we call it the balloon train. Every girl takes a balloon and they blow it up to the amount of air of their energy or how they feel for that given day. Some kids will blow it up small, some kids will blow it up big because they feel like they have a lot of energy and they're excited. And then we have them put the balloon between themselves, and then they have to transfer themselves from the baseline to the half court. And it's actually very, very challenging, especially depending on the size of the balloons. And then after they're done, we have them debrief and talk about when we come to practice, some people are at different levels of energy, but how do we progress in practice? How do we grow in practice? How do we grow as a team when we have different levels of energy or different levels of emotion? Some person might have broken up with their boyfriend. Some person might have beef with their family member and such. And so we talk about how do we navigate all the things that we're going through, the distractions, but also still be able to produce on the court. Touches. Many of you may not know about the touch video that the University of California research. There was a group that researched touches in the NBA. There's a lot of college coaches that will chart touches. They'll chart them in practice. They'll chart them in games. Mike Neighbors has charted touches himself, and we chart touches. And the oxytocin and the bonding hormone that bonds individuals is huge when it comes to teammates. And it's interesting because right now we're having this conversation in our program, or not our program, but in our school, about the amount of girls that are playing volleyball versus basketball. And in volleyball, there's no contact between the opponents. They touch between every rally. It sounds like a cheer camp. Like it's the culture is a lot different. And so a lot of young girls are gravitating towards volleyball versus basketball. And so we try to create that similar feel of touches and connection and encouragement and affirmation that you would see even on the volleyball court, that's bringing girls to volleyball, that we would like to bring more girls to basketball. There's been times where I'll buy 2 separate Lego kits that are the exact same kits, but separate, and I'll have the girls compete on building a Lego kit together, and then you can like observe and see where the leadership takes place and who's stepping up and who's stepping back and who's being intentional and such. And then I also film on the bench. I film our bench culture. Who's pouty, whose body language is bad, who's the energizer, who's the bench captain, and so forth. And I think this has been a very powerful thing for our girls to see about the culture of our bench and how we want our community to be when it comes to those that are not in the game. And then adjourning. These are very, very meaningful and powerful and enriching events that I like to do with our team that will last a lifetime. Sometimes in our Christmas parties, actually, it's been a tradition in our Christmas party that we do what's called an affirmation shower. We have girls sit in the middle, and then we give them 2 to 3 minutes to just talk about that individual. And it can't be court related. It has to be something about their character, their personality that we adore about them. And it's gone to the point where it's been like tears and emotions and super, super powerful. And our girls remember these events so much more than even our plays, which I hope they remember our plays, but they don't always remember the plays. Senior letters. I actually stole this from Anson Durant, who's like the most winningest coach in soccer history for NCAA Division I. Every year he would write a letter to the seniors, and the last team meeting or gathering before they go to the Final Four or even the championship, he would read it to the seniors. And it's full of affirmation and full of how impactful that senior has been. It's more detailed than what you would say at a senior night or even a banquet. And I write these letters, and we have an end of the year party at a kid's house before we go into playoffs. And I read these, and I even print them off and give them to their teammates, or to these senior teammates, that they keep. And a lot of my seniors have kept them forever. Camp shirts. On our camp shirts, we've made it a tradition where we don't just put like Kings camps and everything like that. We actually put a silhouette or a picture of our seniors that have graduated from the program. So we commemorate them through these t-shirts. And every year the girls are like, which picture is coach going to pick? Which pose am I going to do? Like, am I doing a layup? Am I doing a jump shot? But and all our young girls love it, and they get their autographs, and it's a huge keepsake for everybody in the program. Exit interviews. Everybody does exit interviews, but I think a lot of times we don't talk about like, what are some of the team building strategies that you admired that we did in our program? What are some things that you think we should do? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any ideas? Feel free to bring some. Do you think there's some of the team building activities we did that you thought was detrimental to the team, or that did not help, or maybe it caused division or cliques or tension or drama? And so in exit interviews, we talk about, did those strategies work for our team? Did they help? Were they a blessing? A lot of times, I would say 90% of the times, they were a huge blessing. We give our seniors at senior night towels, and the towels represent blood, sweat, and tears that they've shed for the team. It has their name, their number, and our logo on it, and it's a huge beach towel that we say it's a gift from the team to represent all of the emotion and whatever you've given psychologically, spiritually, emotionally to the team throughout their experience in our program. I also challenge coaches to do intentional banquet awards. We do the MVPs, we do most improved, we do all those banquet awards, but what about specific things that are geared towards your values, right? We have one that's called the MVMP, which is the most valuable minutes played, where we actually don't give it to the highest scorer or the best defender or anything, but to the athlete that was the best on and off the court blessing to our teammates, the one that affirmed them well, the one that checked on teammates, the one that held them accountable, the one that had valuable minutes anywhere, everywhere, and that blessed the whole entire program, the coaches, the parents, and so forth. We have, our night award, which there's specific criteria of why we give that teammate that award. And then a family reunion. And I think this would be super, super powerful at the college level, but the family reunion, you invite all alumni and even an alumni family, and you have either a big barbecue or a banquet or a gathering, and you bring them all together. And you have an opportunity to bring your current team with the alumni, and then you just meet, and you can do this every 2 years, every 4 years, but all the alumni love it. They get to share memories. They get to share what they learned from the program. They get to share advice to the current players as well. And our current players are so blessed, and the current players' parents love it so much, and they look forward to those reunions and such. So here's my resources. I'm going to close with this. I have books coming out of my ears. One of my TAs actually took it upon themselves to count all the books that I had. And this is just that I had at school, and I had over 450 books that I have of either basketball, teaching, leadership, so forth. But these are some of my more specific to team building and culture building that I love. Daniel Coyle has a great book called The Culture Playbook that has really specific ideas and strategies that you can do with your team, even over Zoom if you're meeting over Zoom or Teams. Jeff Jansen, who I alluded to before, I love him. He's a great mentor. I've stayed in contact with him from the time I was a JV coach, and he has phenomenal resources, as you can see in the middle of my screen. I have nearly every one of his books, and I've used the Team Captain's Leadership Manual with my leaders. John Gordon has great books. I actually buy a book for our team every year that we all go through, JV and varsity, and we use a chapter a week, and we talk about that in our basketball classroom. And it's a great opportunity for us to delegate to an individual to lead a chapter as well. And then if you don't know about Brett Ledbetter, I love Brett Ledbetter's resources. What drives winning, what drives winning teams, what drives winning environments, what's most important. He has practical exercises that I've done with my teams. He's done with University of Oregon women's, University or Gonzaga University men, when they had Corey and everything. Very, very powerful books that I highly recommend that you all take advantage of. This is my contact info. I will send Steve or DJ my PowerPoint. So if you want to take a look at it, I know I zoomed through it. I wanted to share with you some of the ones that I feel are very, very powerful in our program. There's so much more that we do. I've had coaches call me after I've presented about team building or leadership or culture building and everything to pick my brain about things. I've picked their brain. I've learned a lot from other coaches. If I could have given you one nugget or one tool or one resource today, hopefully I done so and not wasted your time these past 40-45 minutes and so. But I appreciate it. It's an honor to present to all of you because we got some goats on this in the association, some people that I really look up to, that I follow on the men's and women's side. I really feel like we can learn from both sides of the ball, and I'm just super pumped of how much the women's game has grown, especially at the NCAA level. Of course, Caitlin Clark and Haley Van Lith and what's her name? LSU. Why am I forgetting? She's like NIL
Reese.
queen. Yes. And so they're changing the game in so many different ways as well. And I know some of your athletes are going to do that in your communities and in your programs. So I know I talk fast. I talk fast when it's basketball, when it's about my faith, when it's about my family. I talk fast because I'm so passionate about those subjects. And so that's where I'm at. I know that we had some things in the chat. Hopefully I didn't miss any questions. Okay, who do you have frame the speed dating questions, and do they stem from the coaches, the athletes, or a mix? We've done a mix. And so a lot of times we start them off with the coaches, the superficial ones, but then later in the season, we actually have the players submit some that might even be a little bit more deeper and such. And we have the coaches. We've done it both ways. We've had coaches not be around him, so the players can be very, very honest and vulnerable and everything without the coaches like overhearing it. And then we've done it where the coaches are involved. We've overseen or hearing it when we feel like the girls are comfortable. And we've also done it where the coaches are involved with it as well, like they're part of it. And we have one coach facilitate while the other coaches get in the mix and such. But I love those activities because I learned so much about my athletes in a short amount of time that I never knew. Some of the things are like that I can relate to them, or I can connect with them even down the line as well.
Coach, I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a correlation between the level of buy-in to the team bonding, team building, to the on-court success?
There is. I truly believe that because there's been years where I've done, now I've started to chart my team building and how much we've done. And we strategically put it in our practice plan as well. But I've noticed the years that we have done less, that our team isn't as cohesive. It's almost like clockwork. Like it's very, 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 very important for us to analyze even that data. And year to year we look at it, and even our leadership too. Like when we do our leadership lessons, we see, okay, our leadership is lacking this year because the year before we didn't pour into our leadership development as much as we did previous years.
Thank you. Any final questions here for Coach before we wrap up? Thanks again, Coach. If you don't mind passing that the PowerPoint over to me, and I'll be happy to send it out to everyone. This was super helpful for me, so, and I'm sure everyone else. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope so. And yeah, I'll pass on the information. And I did have in the past, before my computer died, detailed instructions of all the different exercises. But if there's a specific one that you guys want me to talk through or email you about, just please let me know. But I highly encourage coaches, check out those resources if you don't have them on your shelves already.
Thanks, Coach. I'll hand it over to Steve here, and he'll close us out.
Hey, Dan, I will say this, that, as you're talking about the team bonding and building and all, I think it's very important. I started thinking, I don't see it whenever I start on the men's side. I didn't see it as much on the men's side, but, I started thinking about the Last Chance U, where if y'all remember that show, Last Chance U, I think midway through the season, Coach had them go out in the woods, right, and did a little camp thing. A little, not camp, a little, get together, team bonding stuff. And I think it's imperative to have that, regardless of men's, women's basketball, girls or boys, whatnot, what level. There's always some type of team building that needs to take place, any level of basketball or sport. Would you agree? So,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've actually talked to more men's coaches lately because Generation Z, if you really do your research, they are way more social than any other generation we've ever had. And you may not think so because they're always on their phones, but they love kicking it. Like they love hanging out. They love, being together at, in the airport all together and everything. They're not as scattered as some of our past teams have been. And they like to be at each other's houses. Like the past 4 or 5 years, I've woken up and seen my whole entire team in one hotel room. I'm like, why are we even purchasing all these hotel rooms if you guys are all going to be in the same room, right? And so like the last night of state or the last night of team camp, I'm just like, they just all want to be in one room because they're so tight knit. And I think that's because we just continue to do it throughout. And I highly encourage, there's a lot of college coaches that don't want to do those things and don't want to be involved with it, but I highly encourage college coaches to do the activities with them as well. Or at least be around and observe and take notes and say, ooh, Steve did this. I wonder what he was trying to do with that, or Steve became vocal here. I've never seen him be that vocal in a game or on practice. Like, Steve, that was amazing. How can you replicate that on the court, and such? So I just think coaches have to be intentional as well.
Dan, I think you'll probably see it more now than ever, in my opinion, because of the transfer portal. You've got to recruit your own players. I
Yep.
think if Coach T, Curtis, if you're still on this call, I don't know if you are, but I mean, I think you would agree with me. I mean, you have to recruit your own players to stick around and give them a reason why, whether we win it this year or next year, whatnot. But I think these types of team bondings, team building, really makes it harder for kids or players to transfer out.
Yeah. You know, I mean, like one of the coaches that I really adore is Dawn Staley. Like she's a player's coach. Like she knows how to get to their level, but she's hard, right? She has a good balance. Like she will challenge them to excel, but she's hard. And she's getting girls to come to her program. Like that says a lot about you if you're being able to recruit people to transfer to your program, but not a lot are leaving hers, right? Tara Vanderveer, I got to visit her practices in a couple of times as well. She very rarely has people leave her program, and she runs a tight ship, and she's, you know, but at her old age, she has evolved into becoming a player's coach and change with the generation. And a lot of coaches think what we did in the 80s and 90s works now, but it doesn't. Like I had one of my players, she literally told me she left her the last team that she played for. She was at a Division I school. Her college coach, her head coach, never talked to me in the recruiting process, and then only the assistants did. And then when she got there, she had one conversation with the head coach off the court. And every time she would pass by his office, he never even waved, said hi or anything. I'm like, how do you keep kids? Like, how do you keep kids if you do that? Right. And so I do feel like that relationship piece is huge. And I've had the privilege of, I've not only gone to weddings. I heard in the past that you guys talked about going to weddings I've officiated 3 of my players' weddings. Like I'm not even a pastor, right? And they wanted me to get ordained so I could officiate. Most powerful, like even like best experience than even winning state. Like honestly, like just being able to be a part of the beginning of somebody's family has been huge. And I've coached boys, and I did a kid that I used to coach. I was on the boys side as well, but that was only because I built relationships, and all my players will know that I love them more as people than I do as with any X's and O's, you know. And so I just think it's so important that we become very transformational coaches rather than transactional coaches.
I would agree with you, and I've knowing you and your personality, definitely that suits you. That's exactly you. And even for a guy like Coach Curtis Townsend, when he's that type of guy as well too. And you guys both have done a really great job of just in your profession in your own area. And been very successful at it, at what y'all do. And it's crazy because we always think about basketball, the X's and O's, but we do forget about what did they say, Jimmy and the Joes, you know. And so that's really important in our game, because we do touch a lot of these young adults.
One of the things that I didn't highlight that I do highlight in the past presentations is parent relationships. I know a lot of coaches don't want to have anything to do with parents, and I'm not saying you call them or entertain them or allow them to contact you when their kid isn't playing or anything like that. But I really feel like connecting with parents also helps build relationships, because that parent will say, go talk to your coach. They'll say, I love that coach. You're not transferring. Like, you're going to play for that coach. That coach loves you and wants the best for you. You are not leaving that program. Like, they're doing what's right, and you got to figure it out. You got to go work hard and everything like that. Like, I've had one parent meeting in 15 years at the school I'm at, one parent meeting. And that parent is one of my close friends right now. He comes and volunteers. His kid is 8 years removed from our program. He volunteers for our summer tournament every year. He's donated to our program after his daughter has graduated. And we met with the AD. We talked it through. I was very upfront and honest, and he understood. But I'm very upfront and honest with our parents, upfront and honest, and I don't sugarcoat things with my players. And I haven't had parent meetings and everything, because all the parents know that I will do whatever it takes to bless your daughter. And the girl that's least talented in my program, they are just as close to me and just as connected to me than the girl that's the star in my program. And that right there is so much more important to me than if I can produce college level athletes, which I want to, and I want to win, of course.
Yeah.
But that's super powerful to me.
Well, this is what a great time to have this conversation, Dan, because season's about to start for everyone here. And, you kind of start off with maybe some type of team bonding, whatnot. Even for the staff, I think it's good for the staff too to have. But what a great way to kind of put this out there for us coaches out there who's watching or listening or will be watching in the near future. But thank you so much for this. It means a lot, taking the time to share with us your knowledge and your experience with team building. I also want to say thank you to Coach Curtis Townsend. Appreciate his time and all that you do, Coach. I myself am a longtime fan of Kansas and your work and what you do. Your recruiting is off the chains, and I do need to reach out to you and kind of steal some nuggets from you about recruiting. But I want to thank you so much for what you do we'll do for our community too, and the coaching world, and best of luck to you as well.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate you spending time with us. And then you've got, I guarantee that everybody in these calls are going to be following y'all along. I know you guys have a big bullseye in the back of y'all's, in the front, I guess, back in front. But rightfully so. There's a good reason why. So best of luck to you guys, and wishing Coach Self nothing but good health this year too. So thank you so much for this, and we will do this as much as we can. Last week we had a good turnout, really good speakers too. Coach, I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate everyone else too jumping on. DJ for moderating, all athletes for sponsoring. This means a lot every year. Just so you guys know, those are listening, watching. At the men's Final Four, at the women's Final Four, we do have some type of event going on. Feel free, please come, bring a friend. Everyone's invited to the party. It's up to you if you want to dance. All right, come through. Mike does a great job at his event. I hosted at my event at the Final Four. So please be on the lookout for that. Follow our social media. If you have social media on Twitter at Asian Coaches, we do have an Instagram account as well. And all our YouTube videos are uploaded to our YouTube channel, and you can search it on Asian Coaches Association and on YouTube, and you can go back and listen and watch. We've had some previous big time speakers on. Feel free to take time to kind of watch and listen and learn, and bring a friend. Next time, bring a friend. This isn't just for us. I know it's Asian Coaches Association, but this is for everyone who loves the game, who wants to grow. I always say, don't confuse my passion with aggression and my aggression with passion. I'm just like you, Dan. I get very passionate talking about team building, recruiting, basketball, X's and O's. I really do. But the only way for you to grow is what iron sharpens iron, right, with each other. So I do want to thank everyone on behalf of the ACA. Mike, appreciate you for leading us. And Garrett is behind the scenes. We still haven't seen Garrett's face, but thank you so much, Garrett, for all that you do. Appreciate you. But on behalf of the Asian Coaches Association, please, y'all, thank you so much. Be safe, learn, reach out to people. We'll be more than happy to help you out as well. But thank you again, Dan, for this week. Coach Townsend, thank you so much, and God bless you guys.
Okay, thanks. Good luck to everybody this year.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Coach.